Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering One Piece, episodes 313 and 314. Am I right? Florian made a face. Florian's here, by the way, everybody. In these episodes, we find out where that 200 million berry prize went, and it was a big tree trunk, which hopefully that trunk makes a lot of wood. And also, most importantly, we finally meet some of Luffy's family, and I am very excited about it. Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
And I am Florian. Hello.
Yay! Welcome, Florian. Welcome back to the show. Friend of the show, Florian. So, obligatory first question. Why did you choose these episodes to guest on?
Well, I feel like I have compared some of One Piece to the Abaddon of Cradle before.
Yes.
Where like bigger things are happening and you're not always understanding what's going on.
Yes.
And
yep.
I feel like this is like the first time in the series really where some puzzles get put together or like you get to know more really.
100%.
And
some things that I had low-key just been like, I don't know, maybe we're never going to get told what that was about because it was so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many episodes ago was Logtown?
I think Lockdown was in the 50s, so yeah.
Oh my god, it was even further back than I thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
250 episodes ago.
Yeah, like, so I'm curious, like, for you were you watching these as they aired, like, earlier on?
Yeah, kind of. Like, I basically watched them when they were on TV, and we would, like, get them not, like, in Germany or in Switzerland, we would not get them, like, the day they came out, basically. So they would, like, release them in bulks,
Gotcha.
Translated. So it was, like, accurate, but not completely caught up. Yeah.
Right. So, I'm watching these at an accelerated pace. I'm recording oftentimes 2 episodes a week, at least 2 episodes per recording, and sometimes 3. And it still feels like absolute ages ago to me that this all happened. When you were watching, did this feel like so far back in the past that you had forgotten about it yourself? Or like, what was your reaction to something this old being brought up again?
Well, for me, it's like I watched it back then on TV. And what will happen is that episodes will run again,
Right.
So I basically had rewatched this series like multiple times because it was on and I was a kid and I liked it,
Right, yes.
So basically, yes, I remembered that, but I also can see that if you just watch it one episode at a time and don't go back, basically, but then it is.
Yeah, I mean, it feels to me like it would just be from so far back that, I have mentioned before that there are times where the show will like go into a flashback that it's a flashback from like literally earlier that episode. And I'm like, you really don't need to do this, guys. But this, they do the flashbacks. And I'm like, yeah, honestly, I would appreciate even more of these flashbacks because I straight up don't remember a lot of this at all. Like Buggy is in the flashback. And I was like, oh, right. Buggy was there. And that was like the whole thing. But I literally, if you had asked me if Buggy was there, I would have been like, no, I'm pretty sure he wasn't a thing by then. I just really have lost the thread on that one. But okay, so I just wanted to talk about that first. And do you have anything that you want to like talk about with these episodes off the top, or do you want to get into the plot?
I feel like we can like get into it, like
okay.
Just go through it. And I as I said, like other reason I'm here is also, as you said, like to maybe help you remember things and maybe make some connections. That's also a reason why I'm here, because I'm obsessed with One Piece and apparently a walking lexicon. So
I love it. I love it. Yes. This is what I really enjoy about doing Spoil Me's in general. Is just like there being somebody there to help me through when I forget stuff, character names, making connections with things. This is also why I am not doing a One Piece episode, or not One Piece. I'm not doing a Spoil Me like style live recording with Rashawn for A Song of Ice and Fire, because that chat would be out of control with people giving us all kinds of information and background and stuff, and I would just not be able to handle it. It would be overload. So we thought about it, and I was like, no, I can't do it, Rashawn. The fanboys, they have too much information. They have access to too much. It's just going to be... So for most of my Spoil Me stuff, though, it's just right. All right, so let's start this off. I once again plugged my ears and said la 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 through the titles. So I'm seeing these titles for the first time while I'm reading them to you. This one is Peace Interrupted, a Marine Vice Admiral with a Fist of Love. All right, that's not as spoilery as I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought it was going to be like Luffy's grandfather punches him with love. You know, something very like... But I'm glad that they didn't do it. Maybe it's more spoilery in Japanese, but so we're back at Water 7. Lots of repairs still happening. We're seeing a lot of buildings with like big chunks taken out of them and everything. We have like a brief scene between Iceberg and
Franky.
Thank you. Why was I going to say Tom? That's their dad-ish. Franky, what Iceberg tells Franky is that he basically wants to make Water 7 like a floating city, like a giant boat.
Basically, yes.
I have a number of questions about this.
Okay, yes.
Now, if Water 7, you know, you guys were aware, I was thinking it was like a hurricane and it turned out to be much more like a tsunami kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Water 7 were at the mercy of something like a hurricane and that had flooding, and the whole city was a boat, the city would just rise with the water, and that wouldn't wind up being such a problem because of the way physics works. But if you have a tsunami, isn't the city being a boat worse?
Well, I mean, he doesn't go in detail. Maybe they just make it a boat and move away.
Okay, that's true. I hadn't considered, like, we just, like, don't actually stay right here where Aqua Laguna becomes, like, is happening at all. I guess I don't really know how far you have to go to get away from Aqua Laguna and if that would matter. Or you don't have to, like, permanently move. You know Aqua Laguna is coming and you move temporarily and come back? Okay. I accept that. Because it just feels like if you're trying to withstand a huge torrent of water, being on solid ground is the only advantage Water 7 seems to have. You know what I mean? And I get that they're continually sinking, but like, nevertheless, it feels like you're cutting yourself off at the knees there.
Yes, I get that. I mean, I feel like if they would just stay in place, then I also think it would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
So I honestly just assumed that they would like move, even if it's maybe just for 2 days or 3 days while this happening.
Yeah. All right. I like that. That's better. But yeah, a lot of the focus in the opening of this is people returning on the sea train, and we even have a moment like in the midst of all of this complete destruction, Zoro is out sitting amongst the like ruins of all these different ships, and he is looking at his sword that got smashed by that rust marine, and he is very ticked off. He is extremely salty about this. This is the one that was cursed? Is that right?
No, he got like in Lockdown also. He got like two swords, like one that was cursed and one that was basically from the shopkeeper's family. Like,
Oh, okay.
the one from the shopkeeper basically got incinerated.
Okay,
or I
so
don't
he
know.
still has the cursed one.
Yes.
That's not really great. If it was the cursed one that gets broken, like, that sucks because you liked it as a sword, but it doesn't feel like such a loss.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to tell you this because it's like some people say, you remember Zoro basically all of a sudden grew three heads, like against the giraffe.
Right.
And some people say that has maybe something to do with the cursed sword.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see.
But yeah, that's a theory. And also, I feel like, I mean, I'm personally, I also, as I said, I'm One Piece obsessed. So I kind of watched, I sometimes watch like reactions and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there were like these dudes, like two guys, and they were like super pro-y and stuff. They were like anime watchers, like through and through.
Right.
But they first time watched One Piece, and then Zoro's sword gets destroyed, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing they say is like, he will get a new sword. That is going to be awesome. And I never like, that's never what I think about first. Like, they were like already somewhere far in the future with their heads, because they're like, yeah, he has to have three swords, so that means a new one. And I'm just like,
yeah, this is the thing, and it depends on, like, I think how attached you are to the original thing. This is the thing with me and the Mary, you know?
mm-hmm.
The Mary breaks, and I didn't react with the sadness initially because I was already kind of like, that ship is real weird, so I wouldn't be mad if they had to get a new ship. That's fine. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the sword thing, I feel like there was some importance of, like, to where he got it for him, that he wouldn't want to just get a new one. My assumption is based on the fact that he is sitting there holding the hilt, watching the blade continue to flake away and to rust. I am assuming he is going to get the sword remade, like from the hilt, that there's going to be a new blade, but he doesn't want to replace it. He just wants to try and repair it. I'm not sure if it counts as repairing when you are completely replacing the entire blade, but that's the word I'm going to use for lack of a better one. Renovate, refurbish, I don't know. But yeah, Zoro really doesn't seem very attached to many things. So for him to have lost a sword feels like a particular bummer to me, because those are like the only things he owns that he gives any shits about, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's just sitting there, and at one point the subtitle says, "This bites." In the dub, he says, "God damn it," or something like that. But either way, it works. And we get this really great thing that happens. And I'm just going to like deal with Zoro in total for this episode because it's a short thing. He sees the Marines are coming and he's like, oh, quick, I got to warn my friends. And then we get this extended sequence of him running all over the city, but constantly winding up back at the same beach over and over again. And I know that this joke is super played out, but I just think it's so funny every time. There is just something about how hyper competent Zoro is at so many things. And then a basic thing like recognizing your surroundings, and he just fails so utterly at it. It's like, does this joke hit with you still?
Yes, it does. Like,
I don't know, your voice. I don't know if I believe you.
What I was, I'm going to add something to that, because One Piece has a lot of kind of like running jokes like this. Mm-hmm. Another one is like Usopp being scary, and not scary, scared.
Right.
And, you know, there are like moments where it hits and moments where it does not so hit, you know?
That's true.
So it's like a joke that comes back around, you know, like where it's funny and then you're like, okay. And then it's funny again.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. And the whole thing with Zoro, like, I think because he was just so serious and like grieving over it, and then he goes real goofy again in this, especially because he's sort of panicking. That just really did crack me up. So, all right, let's see. Oh, we go to the Franky pirates. They're rehabilitating Sodom and Gomorrah. The two, what are they called? This type of creature?
King bulls. I mean,
Okay.
General bulls, those are smaller ones, and these are the king bulls, the big ones.
Okay. I was so glad. You guys know, like,
yes,
I want these guys to be okay, and I was very gratified that not only are they seeming to take really good care of them and be like, "Hey, buddies, everything's gonna be all right," but at one point, they say that he's gonna get his sight back if he just rests. One of them says, "Dr. Reindeer said," which I thought was precious. I don't think I've ever heard anybody call Chopper Dr. Reindeer.
Oh,
I really like it.
I'm gonna say there is like a lot of cute Chopper moments here.
Okay, nice.
Especially the first episode. I'm so like, when he comes back with Robin later on, it's so precious. Like, he's like so proud of himself that he kept an eye on her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I find it just cute.
I am so like, I'm just so glad that we don't have this. And I don't know, maybe it's still coming, because sometimes the show will really delay dealing with certain things. But I was really worried that Chopper was going to like come back to himself, and there would be this sort of like reckoning moment with all the stuff that he did when he was giant, and that he was going to feel super guilty, and everybody was going to be like, "Yo, dude, what the heck was that?" And it hasn't been brought up at all. And as much as part of me is sort of like not thinking that's great either, I would really rather not. You know, like, Chopper did what he needed to do. I don't need him to be questioned by everybody and feel even more guilty. So I have very mixed feelings about how much I want consequences for all of that.
I get what you mean, but I also feel like when we think about, okay, why doesn't it come up? Why doesn't it come up?
Mm-hmm.
I think, just like, as you said, Chopper had to do what he had to do, and I feel like all the Straw Hats low-key know that. Like, they were like, they were all in a dire situation. So they're like, I don't know what he had to do or what he did, but
that's kind of the only reason that I would like the conversation, is because they don't know why it happened to him. Mm-hmm. So that's the only reason that I would want this brought up, is because somebody was like, "Hey, so what happened though?" Because nobody knows about the effect of it's. How many Rumble Balls is he limited to? He can only have 2, and when he takes the third one, right? So part of me does feel like I would like his friends to know that limitation, but again, I don't know. I don't want any negativity around Chopper ever. So
I feel like this is a general low-key theme with the Straw Hats, maybe, is that they don't want to worry each other. So and they all want to be like basically able to carry the weight. So they want the crew to feel like, basically he doesn't want to feel Robin, for example, sad or bad, that she would think like he had to do this because of me, you know?
Right.
So maybe that's also part of it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But I also could see like and talk about this to be really interesting. So I'm not averse to that.
Really quick, and I'm going to edit this out. Do you have a window open or anything?
No.
There's a sound from your mic that sounds like wind hitting, you know, when like there's a microphone outside, and I don't know. Ooh, there it is.
Is it now louder?
Oh yeah.
Is it
gone? It seems like it's gone. Yeah.
Okay. I'm
sorry.
You
sound a lot louder now. What did you change?
I did just I just plugged in my cable of my microphone a little bit.
Oh, okay. Maybe if it wasn't plugged in, it was moving a little bit, and that was what was causing it. I don't know,
Maybe.
but yeah, you sound like a lot louder and very different now, so
Oh,
that's good.
shit.
It's
Sorry,
fine. We're only like, a third of the way in, so it's fine.
but I hope you could understand what I was.
No, I could understand you. It was just intermittent. There was like that sound, like the wind blowing, like when
Yeah.
somebody's interviewing a like athlete outside.
Okay. I mean, my laptop is like the thing is going, like ventilator, but it's not like.
No, that wouldn't cause that, I don't think. I think it was just whatever was with the cable.
Okay.
But okay. So we have the thing with Franky and Iceberg that I already talked about, and then we have the scene where Kokoro goes to visit everybody and Luffy is eating.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out that he is asleep. He is sleep eating.
Yes.
Which I know is an actual thing. Have you ever met anybody who does this?
Really? Like, I mean,
yeah.
Maybe I can imagine people sleepwalking and eating while basically. Is that the? Okay.
It's like, yeah, basically people will eat in a sort of state of sleepwalking, and they don't remember any of it, and they didn't really intend it. And oftentimes it doesn't include cooking. It tends to be just like taking things out of the fridge and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a thing. I have never had it, which is surprising. One would really think if there was going to be a candidate for sleep eating, I would be on that list.
Okay. No.
But he is just putting it away, and I was waiting for like the food to run out and for him to wake up, because he was like, well, what the hell, guys, But yeah, he is recovering from all of the excitement and the fighting. And apparently the other dudes as well have been sleeping for like 2 straight days. So everybody has been knocked on their ass a little bit by all of this.
Yes.
And then Kokoro, she like kind of gets off the Luffy topic once she realizes what's happening. But Nami is here. She's animated in black and white.
Yes.
With these really deep shadows. This was really funny to me. She is saying that, like, even if we had the log pose, we don't have a ship, and all of our money is gone, and even Bellamir's tangerine trees are gone. And I have to be honest, guys, I have to guess, and I don't know this because I didn't go back, that the trees were missing from the Mary when it was burned, but I just didn't notice that they weren't on board. So when she says this, I just took it for granted that they had been on the ship when it was burned, which I was kind of like, oh, wow, they burned the trees? That's surprising. Like, wouldn't they at least pick some tangerines to try and plant pits to make new trees, Or I guess it's not, they have seeds. You get what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But no, it turns out, we find out later, that the townspeople, because they thought the Straw Hats had assassinated Iceberg and were bad guys, they basically like stripped the ship for parts and left it on its rims on a set of cinder blocks in a back alley somewhere and ran off with the rims and the tires and everything. So the trees are safe and sound, and this guy brings them back, and that was really good. I was just really glad.
Yes, and she was happy too.
Oh my God, she's so happy.
Yes. It's so sweet. Like I never had that, like when you think something is like utterly lost and then it comes back.
I really, okay. Gus is saying in the chat, I believe they just confiscated everything in their hotel room. Did they take the trees off the ship and bring it into the hotel?
No, like they had the fight with Usopp, and then basically the Straw Hats left and went to the hotel room. And basically then that's when they all packed their ship sheet from the ship to the
she
hotel
takes
room.
them off the ship because the ship is going to be Usopp's now.
Yes.
Okay, I see. I didn't even realize. Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes... Well, I won't say it makes more sense. Either one I would have accepted, but it makes as much sense.
Yeah.
I do really enjoy too when Nami is still like in the throes of depression, the animation of her being like black and white, and then the camera cuts to Kokoro and Chimney like just looking at her with their eyes big, like, oh boy, and then slowly back out of the room, not wanting to engage with her on this. I did find that funny because there comes a point where it's like, I can't say anything to cheer you up clearly, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Yes.
And the fact that the trees come back, I can't recall. Did anybody else lose anything big like that? Like something of sentimental value?
Well, I mean, the only other thing was that, I mean, they had another, what was it? 100,000 berries or something. And like the money, like,
right.
Franky didn't steal all of it. Like he stole like 2/3 of it.
So they also had money stolen?
Yes. I mean, not stolen, but now it's back, you know.
Okay, yeah.
They were also in the hotel room.
Gotcha. Okay. So we have the return of that, and then we also have Robin coming in with Chopper, and this is very adorable. Chopper is so excited that everything is back as well, totally understanding how important this is. And we get Robin, who feels like so much more relaxed and chill. For the first, like, everybody, I should mention, is in slightly different clothing. Nami is in like a sort of t-shirt dress or a hoodie dress, but it's like short sleeved. And Robin is in what just looks like a pair of slacks and a t-shirt. Like, considering their usual outfits, these are so much more conservative than what they are normally wearing.
Yeah, it's like their we're staying at home clothes, you know. Like,
yeah, exactly. My loungewear.
Mm.
And then we have Franky come in with his just like tiny bathing suit, and I was just like, there's some skin. Okay.
Before we go on, you mentioned like Robin just seems so chill. I just kind of would like for you to just keep an eye on her character, you know, like, because this was like basically her arc, kind of, you know. Yeah. And just when you see something changed and was different than before, just like mention it, you know, because I feel like there are like some neat tidbits here and there.
The thing with her like energy is she just seems a lot more open. She's not, the whole way that she acted before was very aloof, and that was like part of her charm also for me. But I am glad to see the way that she like makes eye contact and smiles with Nami. It just feels really genuine. And Chopper is like, you know, I wanted to make sure that you're not leaving again. And she says that she's not going anywhere, and Chopper makes her promise, and she seems very, very willing to promise, you know. I didn't notice, because I know it's been mentioned before that she never has used the crew's names, and I can't remember if she uses anybody's name in this episode or not. I meant to keep an eye out for that, and I forgot. Does she? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
For sure if it's like, I don't think, to be honest. Like
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think not, to be honest. Like I have seen this, I watched it today and like 2 weeks ago. I don't think so.
Okay. I'm glad that I didn't miss it though, because like she doesn't get that much to do. We have another whole thing we're setting up here. So this is kind of the only scene with her as a focus. So it's probably that she just hasn't really had that much time.
Yeah.
So this is when Franky comes in, and he tells them that he has something important that he wants to talk about. And he gets into storytelling mode, and he starts to talk about like an island where there were wars. And Sanji interrupts and is like, dude, what are you doing? What are you storytelling for? Like, we don't want to listen to your shit. And Franky tells him to shut up and listen. And then the way that this is told is, slightly different in the dub than the sub. But he says that it's a place that is like constantly besieged by war, and houses burn and buildings are destroyed and everyone in the town dies and turns to ruins. And then, all of these cannonballs could fall. It doesn't matter. This one particular tree would never fall. And people would like build really close to that tree and create a community around it. And he says it's the strongest tree alive, and there are very few. And it's called Adam the Treasure Tree, is the way it says in the sub. I feel like it's called something different in the dub.
No, I feel like in the dub he just says it the other way around. He says the Treasure Tree Adam.
Oh, okay. I really thought, what I thought was he was doing here, telling the story? I thought he had found out that the island Robin came from was being rebuilt because it had that tree of knowledge on it,
Yes.
And I was like thinking, okay, this is him being like, oh, they risen again from the ashes. And like, sure, the people there aren't the people that Robin knew, but they are, the island itself continues on, sort of thing. But no, that is not it. We are here to hear about the strongest tree in the world. And he says the wood...
Strongest wood.
Yeah, the wood is on the black market, and it costs 200 million berries for like a log of it or a branch of it or something. And I could never afford it. But then some pirates who just flashed their money around showed up. And Sanji, of course, is like, are you bragging to us right now about using our money to buy something? Like, is this what you're doing? Franky gets very angry and tells him once again to shut up and keep listening. And he explains that what he wants to do is use this wood to build an amazing ship and give it to them as a gift. Yes. And it is, I'm very, very excited about it. I really wanted him to be the one. You guys know that was what I predicted last time, was like, I thought it would be him and Iceberg working together. It still might be, like, Iceberg might get involved with this somehow. I don't know. But the idea that it's going to be made out of the strongest wood available, for me, I'm taking that as this ship is going to be what they have forever now. Like
that's. I mean, I'm not like, what's it called? I'm not confirming, but I'm just saying, like, yes, that's like a valid opinion, or like, yeah. Prediction.
It feels like it's being set up that like nothing is going to get through it. And I'm curious because, sometimes the show will decide to adhere to some certain physics, and sometimes physics doesn't matter at all. So I'm really curious to see what the strongest wood available looks like. Like, is it like steel? Is it, does it perform almost magically where it literally withstands everything? I'm going to say my prediction is the Mary was made out of real wood, and it still got damaged and everything. It was, eventually it was not seaworthy anymore. However, it withstood way, way more abuse than any physical ship of its type would ever do. Like the many times that it descended from a great height and didn't smash into a million pieces alone. And if that was just regular wood, I'm going to go on record saying this wood is going to be basically magical. So that's my prediction on that.
Yeah, it's a fair prediction.
All right.
Not going to fault you on that.
And he had also said that something about how, I'm going to rewind here because I'm looking at the actual subtitles as I'm going through some of this. Okay. So he says that he made a vow to himself that he was never going to build a ship again. And that one kind of caught me off guard. But I wanted to catch up to the person who was my goal after all. And that's the way it said in the sub. Is he talking about Tom?
Mm-hmm. Because that's why I'm here. If you remember, in the flashback that we had with Tom and Franky and Iceberg, basically Franky built these like battleships, and they were used against them. So that kind of one of the last moments between him and Tom was like Franky saying he doesn't want to build anymore. His creations only cause destruction. And Tom basically punches him and says, that's not what this is about. And like, you cannot just, like, the ships are not necessarily responsible, you know?
Right.
So, but apparently ever since then, Franky has not built a ship. So, because he...
So when he said, because like, I think that the sub, the way that it's worded is just kind of weird because of the translation, because he says something about the person that he wanted to catch up to.
Tom. Yeah, that's Tom. Like he wants to make his master proud and maybe even surpass him, you know.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. But yeah, so he is offering them this ship, and it takes a minute for all of them. Like when he tells them that's what he wants to do, he is greeted with total silence for a minute. There's not even like gasps of him, people who are impressed or moved. It's more that everybody is looking at him like, wait, what did you just say? And I love that after he says this, it like cuts over to Luffy, who is still just dead asleep. And the fact that he is like missing all of this is very funny to me. I was sort of thinking that he might be asleep until the ship was done being built. I was wondering if he'd like come to and it was taken care of, you know?
As soon as they're back on sea, he's like, yes, it's
exactly
time. Next adventure.
And I gotta say, while Franky is saying these things to them, we get an image of what I am assuming is his like ideal ship that he has imagined building. And that bitch is gigantic. It is like 4 stories high and just like front to back. It looks like it's about 4 times the size of the Mary at minimum. This looks like, it looks more like where Sanji used to work. It's even bigger than that though. I think
it's bigger than that. I like this illustration. But do you think it would come true?
That's my question, is like, I know that's what he is thinking that he wanted to build. Like that was his original plan. I don't know if he's going to stick with the plan or if he's going to do something, adjust his plan because now it's not going to be his ship anymore. It's going to be for other people. Personally, I really want this giant ass ship because there is so much potential for weird stuff to happen in a ship that size. So much potential for weird rooms, weird gadgets, weird like supplies hidden in places that do things, you know, like I have said before that having not spent that much time on the Mary, we mostly, you know, are managing to get from place to place, and we spend much more time at those places than we do on the ship. That I always felt a little bit sad because we don't get a lot of the crew interacting all together. It always feels like they're split into different locations whenever we like land somewhere. So my instinct is to be like, I'm super excited because this means that we could spend more time on the ship and see everybody together. However, also, if the ship is this giant, they could easily still avoid each other quite a lot. So I don't know. Maybe that's not going to change anything. But yeah, I am really interested and really excited at the fact that it looks like we might get a bit of a I don't want to say like we're going to watch every step of the creation of it, because I don't think that's true, but I'm hoping that we get him like saying, hey guys, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Or at least, even if we don't actually hear the dialogue of him like asking questions, we see him talking to different people so that we get the indication that he's getting ideas, you know? That's all I want. It's just like a kind of a sense that this is a bit of a group project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you want him to ask which color they want for the bathroom and stuff. That's reasonable.
Exactly. Yes. 100%. I would really like it too if the boys all prioritized like getting their specific workshops and stuff to the point that they still wind up having to sleep in the same room with their like hammocks. But
yes.
Nami's got her own room with an ensuite master bath and tub, and everything is pink, and she's got this giant 4-poster bed with like curtains, and the boys are still all just like crammed in the closet. They're in the walk-in closet, which she allows them to be in only because she has one outfit, so she doesn't really need the walk-in closet. So, that's my hope. I am really hopeful about it, but because we get sort of interrupted by the Marines, I'm not sure if we're going to... I'm not sure how long we're going to be here with Luffy's family. And how long it's going to be before we actually see the ship, because I've said before, we've had ships built in like a day, but also the show will draw certain things out a lot and tell you like something is coming, and then it will not come for like, 12 episodes in a row. So I would like to just say right now, everybody, please forgive me if I am super impatient about this new ship storyline, because I get very excited about new stuff. I will be straight up with all of you, and I don't think this is going to be any news to anybody who has listened to the show at all. However, I am very materialistic. Okay? I like things. I like pretty things. I like cozy things. I like yummy things. I am of the flesh and love the pleasures of the flesh. So when you tell me that our friends are going to be getting a cool new toy that they're going to live in, I am not going to be able to think about anything else. Like, that is going to be on my mind all the time. And if it takes a long time to get to it, just expect mild complaints from me every episode until it arrives. So just want to put that out there.
Well, are you going to think about it all the time? Not even thinking about Luffy's grandfather?
I mean, the grandfather has this helmet.
Oh, yes.
What is the name of his, like, crew? What is his name? His name is Garp?
Garp.
What a name. Okay. Garp, yes. Are his pirates, like, because they're Marines, they don't really have their own title, right?
No, they're not pirates, they're Marines.
Right. But he still has a figurehead on the ship of a dog with a bone.
Yes.
That doesn't feel like it's according to standard Marine issue.
Well, we can talk about him if you want to.
Okay, let's talk about him. He shows up and punches Luffy in the head. While Luffy's asleep. The dub has him just yelling, "Wake up." The sub, "Wake up." The dub has him saying, "Rise and shine" as he punches him, which I do really like.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
And Luffy complains about how much that hurt, and Sanji is like, why are you whining about that? You've gotten punched way worse so many times. And at this point, we don't know he's his grandfather. And he says something about, like, that's because there's no defense against the love punch or the punch of love. And I was like, what? And then it's like a couple beats before Luffy is like, "What did you do that for, Grandpa?" And I was like, "What?" And that is how the episode ends, is just him being like, "Oh yeah, that's my grandpa."
Mm-hmm.
This guy's, I just want to talk about what he's wearing as usual.
Of course.
You guys, this fucking thing, he's mostly from the neck down in just a regular, like, Admiral. What is his title?
He is a vice admiral.
Okay.
So he's like kind of a step under Okiji, the ice guy.
Okay, got you. So yeah, he's got like the white coat and everything. I didn't really spot that much about his regular clothing.
Mm-hmm.
That was different. It is just the headdress that he's wearing, which is this dog's head with its mouth really wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to like mention that the dog's teeth are just these like rounded sort of shells, which I don't know why, but it almost looked a very little like human teeth. And I was like, that is extremely off-putting. I do not care for that.
Okay, yeah. Now that you say it.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks, yes. I see.
And the actual like muzzle of the dog is spotted. The dog itself is like sort of beige. The muzzle is spotted, and it's got these like bright yellow eyes. The dog's coloring, to be completely fair, is very similar to one of my puppies' coloring. So that like, and the dog's eyes are also yellow. My dog's eyes are yellow. So I kept being like, this is weird. But his own face is like coming out from between the teeth of the dog. So the jaws, and you don't see his eyes really. You just see his nose and mouth and mustache. He's got a real like straight across kind of Jonah Jameson type mustache. It's not quite that straight, but it's in that ballpark. And there, it says Marines on the back of the dog's head, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which I would just really love. I know I talk about the logistics all the time, but I would love the logistics on how they handle these weirdo vice admirals and their little thematic choices for their uniforms. And the way, like, do they just print out stickers that say Marines and hand them to them and go, whatever you're going to wear on your head, just make sure this is on the back, like a bumper sticker?
Aren't there like some like stickers like this that you have like to iron to close, but then it like kind of
sticks. Like heat transfer.
Yes, heat transfer. Yes, maybe that's what they like give them out and be like, yeah, you have to put this on. Like you can wear what you want, you're a higher rank, but this has to be on there.
Perfect. Yeah, they have that with like just a flat pattern, and then they have like patches that have a sort of wax backing. And the wax melts and adheres. Those are usually the things that go on a uniform that says like, "Hi, my name is Luffy," for jumpsuits when you're like a mechanic or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the whole thing, like the way that he swoops in, doesn't tell anybody who he is, punches the shit out of Luffy, who is dead asleep. It is, you assume this guy is coming for the head of the Strawhats because he is with the Marines and Luffy is wanted. Mm-hmm. But it turns out he's just visiting his grandson. And he takes off the helmet, and he is this incredibly like silver daddy type jacked dude. And I was just like, what's up? A little bit.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I think, yeah, he is among the fandom popular. Yes.
Yeah. You know, he's definitely like on the older side. I'm putting him probably in his 60s based on how young Luffy is. But yeah, he's still got it. He's jacked.
Definitely.
So that's the end of the first episode, and we go into 314. And everybody is sitting there absolutely stunned at the fact that Luffy's grandfather is a fucking Marine. And they're just like, dude, what the hell? And it turns out that this guy basically put Luffy through hell. And even though Luffy is frustrated by it and is just like, you really made my childhood extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it's Sanji. Somebody says, basically, no wonder Luffy shrugs off so much stuff.
Yeah,
because he's just been like, he's basically been traumatized.
Yeah, really. And I'm going to be honest, like Garp mentions some stuff, and I feel like that was only like the tip of the iceberg, like the things that he said.
Definitely. Yeah, he's mentioning some things and he's just like, well, you know, I did this and I guess I did that. And I'm like, whatever you're saying you did that you personally remember, I'm going to assume is like 5% of what actually happened, because it's always the way it is with adults. It's like our memories are a lot shorter than children's. And probably there's a lot more. And he is just flat out like multiple times being like, I should beat the shit out of you to Luffy. I mean, this is not a nice man. He's like weirdly affectionate, but also just essentially abusive.
Yes. I mean, I'm just going to ask you, do you like him? Or like or do you have to see more of him? Like,
I think I like him. Like, it's a difficult, this is one of those needles that's very tough to thread, because you have to make him care about Luffy so that it isn't like, oh, I just did this stuff because I'm sadistic. And you also need for his motivation in doing so. He says like, I did all of that to make you a man, which is the kind of motivation that normally is just really gross, like toxic masculinity stuff.
I don't think he said to make you, maybe he said man, but I'm pretty sure he said like to make him a Marine.
I'll go forward and see. In the dub, he definitely said to make you a man, because it was just such a like typical sort of line that I remembered it. Let's see. When I was small, he almost killed me a bunch of times. And let's see if the sub is different. And he's just like starts defending himself at first. And then it's like, well, there was that one time that I pushed you into a ravine. And then there was that time that I tied balloons to you. And you see, I love that every animation of Luffy is like
the same.
Yeah, it's the same animation, totally different surroundings. The balloons one really cracked me up, though. I did all those things in order to make you a strong man.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
that's what the sub says too.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, I don't expect you to remember it verbatim.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I just thought like he wanted to, because the next thing that comes up is Shanks, you know? And I kind of like make the connection, well, and the opposite of a pirate is a Marine, you know? So basically became, so I had it like locked in my mind that he basically became the exact opposite of what the grandpa wanted. But
yeah, that is like where the conversation winds up going, is essentially like, I had you train with Ace and I shouldn't have done that because look at how it turned out. And here it is. I trained you to become a strong Marine. So that's what he says after.
Okay.
There's two different quotes. And
so we both were right.
Right, yes. And Luffy is like, I told you so many goddamn times that I wanted to be a pirate. It is not my fault that you didn't listen to me. Which I do really like that addition in the dub, is because like this guy's trying to blame Luffy and blame, what is his name again? The redhead? Shanks.
Yeah, or you can say red hair. Yeah, that's also fine.
Redhead.
Red hair.
Red hair, okay.
I mean, at least that's his like title. Like it's Red Hair Shanks.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, like it's Straw Hat Luffy. He's like red hair.
Oh, okay.
Or is it red hat? Okay, now I will just not say anything because now
You paid for a wannabe episode. You can't just say you're not going to say anything anymore. I don't feel like that's a good investment.
It's red hair. Okay, thank you, Seraphim. He just
Seraphim says pirate daddy.
Okay. Well, I don't. Well, no.
He doesn't quite have the daddy energy to me, but that might just be that it's early yet. Maybe he will.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, what do you think? What's said here about Shanks, basically?
I mean, I don't really like. He says that Shanks corrupted Luffy, but based on the fact that Luffy says that he stated his desire to become a pirate 1,000,000 times, I really just thought that that's like a moot point. Like the corruption would imply, oh, you wanted something else to begin with, and then this person came along and changed your mind. But it seems like more that he was just hoping Luffy would get over it and not want the thing anymore. And that he didn't like keep an eye on him close enough to actually instill in him any sort of like, well, this is why you should want to become a Marine. It was just like assuming, well, I'm training you to become a Marine and that's what's going to happen to you. And he took it for granted that eventually, if he just hammered on him enough, that it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that doesn't feel like has anything to do with Shanks, really. Like, Shanks was around, but it felt a lot of the time like Shanks was actively trying to keep Luffy out of it. You know?
Yeah, I can see that. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I never thought about it too hard. Like I just feel like Shanks was hanging around in town, and Luffy was basically also in the town, and Luffy was a curious kid, and Shanks was like a cool dude, basically, and so they just hanged out together, basically.
Yeah.
I never put any thought behind it. Like I don't think like also Garp. It sounds like that Shanks intended that, which I also don't feel that's warranted. You know, he
intended. You mean like Shanks was like trying to steal Luffy away from him?
Yeah.
That was kind of the energy he was giving. Was like this. You know, he swooped in and stole you, and I was like, this kid was just not on your side from the very beginning. So I don't know why you thought that this was going to go your way. But anyway, he's got Luffy by the collar and he's about to like punch him again, and Luffy is screaming. And then we cut away to everybody watching this display, and we cut back to them, and the two of them are asleep, both of them together. And like, it's actually a pretty funny moment. I enjoy how serious his grandpa seems in some ways, juxtaposed with the absolute silliness of the dog. Like the dog, you know, you would think if a guy like this is going to choose a canine of any type, it's going to be a wolf. This is a wolf dude, right? You would think. Not
something like that.
A very happy, silly cartoon dog with a little bone in its mouth, which is frankly adorable. But that and combined with like the silliness of his personality in a lot of these scenes, and the fact that he just like falls asleep in the middle of things the way that Luffy does. I find this kind of fun to have somebody who looks like they are a very dangerous, no nonsense man. And then it turns out, no, there is definitely some nonsense. There's like, you know, like at least 25% nonsense, which is not an insignificant amount for a dude like this. So
I think this is also a moment where like Luffy asks like, what's Shanks up to or something like this. And Garp just says like he's one of the and this is just something I want to point out to you. He's basically apparently one of the most feared pirates, or like most wanted pirates.
Yeah.
He says that there are like 4 of them who are like, the biggest, baddest on the sea.
Yeah. Do we hear who the other ones are, or have we heard them already?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, but that's just something. Yeah, that Shanks apparently is more than just like a normal regular pirate.
Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And what is also said here is like the Marines and what's it called, the 7 warlords. Mm-hmm. Like they're like the opposite power of that. You know, like you have the 4 big ones, he says.
Right.
And then you have
the 4 emperors.
The 4 emperors, yes. And then he says like the Marines and the 7 warlords are like a counterpart to that.
He says something about that Shanks is in the same league as Whitebeard.
Ah, yeah, Whitebeard. That's another one. Yeah, that we have heard. And do you remember Whitebeard?
I remember. So there was a weird thing where there was a guy that Ace was looking for. Wasn't Ace working for Whitebeard or something?
Yes. Whitebeard, and thanks, it's also in the chat, Seraphim. Ace was basically an underling or part of the crew of Whitebeard. Right. But he's not with Whitebeard right now because Ace is chasing this Blackbeard.
That's guy. Right, because I remember there were 2 different colored beards.
Yes.
Okay.
And basically, you can be like, okay, it's Whitebeard against Blackbeard.
Right.
Kind of. But we don't know the details about that. Like, what
is happened. Whitebeard the one that has the weird IVs going into his body?
Yes,
okay.
That's the one that we see.
That is so creepy. I'm not excited about seeing him on screen again because that frickin' squicked me out, you guys.
Yes, and that's the last time actually that we saw him. Was somebody from Shanks's crew basically went to Whitebeard and was like, Shanks has a letter for you or something. Like he was supposed to bring a message from Shanks to Whitebeard, and Whitebeard was just basically, fuck this shit. If he has something to say, then he should come here.
Right. Okay.
We didn't see more of that. So.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's the last time that we see Shanks and or Whitebeard. Yes. Also, like 100 episodes ago, I don't know.
Yeah, right. A very while ago. And we get when he's talking about the 7 Marine headquarters and the 7 warlords of the sea have joined together to fight against these 4. And when he's talking about these 4, there's like a map behind him and these faces that pop up. And one of them has this hair that looks kind of like a cloud. I don't know if Whitebeard, I don't remember his face at all. I just remember the IVs. There's some dude that's got a mustache that looks like a crescent moon. There's Shanks. And then there's somebody that seems to be like in the bottom left, like hidden behind him, that has almost a face like a mask, like the Water 7 masks kind of look to him. So I just wanted to mention like the look of these things as he's talking.
I think I'm gonna tell you have already seen him. Whitebeard is the guy with the crescent moon. Thing. That's him. But I mean, you have already seen him, so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I hope it's fair that I say that.
I think so. When things have like so much happens between refreshing things like that, I don't think is a big deal.
Yeah. And by the way, like I could point out 100 other things to you, but I won't because
I'm sure you could. Yeah, this is how I feel with a lot of stuff I cover with Rashawn. I'm just like, I don't want to lead you down a path where you start to connect things because I mentioned them. But if there is something that I think is like, well, most people remember this. So, her memory is notoriously bad. But yeah, so this is when Luffy is just like, well, I'm really glad to hear that Shanks is doing okay. He doesn't really hear anything about the fact that the 7 warlords and all the Marines are coming together to like take these guys down. All he hears really is just like, I'm really glad that he's still out there doing his thing. And it's in the middle of this that Zoro finally finds his way, because those 2 kids that were trying to mug him, he beats the absolute shit out of them and then asks for directions. So they escort him to Galliolot, which there is something about the animation of like a pyramid of bumps on their head that I find really, really funny. There's so much about the way that cartoon language works that I have forgotten from not watching cartoons for a long time. And like Owen and I were watching Looney Tunes like about a year ago now, because he was really sick and it was just like a comfort thing to put on in the background. And the variety of like shorthands of the cartoon way of getting an idea across, I had just forgotten so much of it, and it's fun to see it in this show, even though that's not, you know, they don't do the cartoon sort of language with everything. We don't have people painting roads on walls and then you can suddenly run down the road like the Roadrunner or anything like that. But I just really think it's funny, these kids, and they're just like, hey, we're really sorry we tried to mug you. That was a really big mistake.
Yeah, I feel like Oda in general, he's that is kind of like a special thing about, because he's Japanese, for like cartoon stuff, because just look at Franky. He's like literally like Popeye kind of, you know, like with the big forearm. Okay. So he definitely takes inspiration also from other cultures, basically. And yeah, cartoons are part of the Western culture. So I like to like see that basically interpret to use in a different way.
Reinterpreted?
Yes, that's the one. Thank you.
Yeah. So as everybody's wearing GC shirts, what does the GC stand for?
Galila Company.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. But anyway, so yeah, Zoro runs up, and at this point there's like 2 boys who are standing there that Garp is like, all right, boys, see if you can stop him. And they like go running out there, and we find out who these kids are. So one of them uses shave, and you know, it is like an impressive thing, but it's old hat for Luffy. Like, he knows what the fuck this is, and grabs this kid and takes him down in no time. The other guy is trying to fight Zoro with kukris, and he also gets like brought to his knees very literally in about 10 seconds. And there's like, you know, a sense of we're really trying to start some shit. But then when Garp comes out, he's like, well, boys, I'm sorry, but you really are no match. And it turns out it was all just kind of an exercise. And we find out that this pink-haired kid is Cody. Kobe. Sorry. I think Cody. I did that a lot in the beginning of the show, too. I called him Cody. My bad.
Yeah. Kobe. Yes.
Yeah. I am so excited about this. Like, it's really funny to me that we are seeing these guys again at all.
Did you expect? I mean, you actually, like, when Garp walks up to the place, like, you see them, like, not fully, but you know, you see like he has like his 2 underlings,
sort of lackeys that are standing there. Yeah.
And did you think like, is that, or did you not think about this at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Like, the thing that's a little bit tough is that he is meant to have like grown up a lot and changed, but Luffy looks exactly the same basically as day one. So it, like, I don't really get a sense of time passing. with any of the other characters. And so the fact that he looks totally different, it feels like he just walked into a room and walked out again and aged like 5 years, you know? So yeah, I would never have thought that this was the same person. I do really enjoy this kid asking, like, don't you remember me? My name's Kobe. And Luffy has all these flashbacks and then comes out of him and is like, nope. I don't. I knew a Kobe, and yes, he definitely had pink hair just like yours, but it can't be the same kid. And he's like, no, it is me. And Luffy has a very gratifying reaction.
Yes,
when you've made some big changes in your life and you run into somebody who used to know you way back when, you want this kind of reaction. You know, you want a what? Like, I don't know. I felt good for him.
Me too. And I mean, it's kind of like a manga thing, not manga thing, but yeah, he has grown a lot. But also, I tried to find this out one time, but to be honest, it's kind of impossible to find out. Basically, how much time has passed since Luffy started to now,
okay.
Because they're like never like, oh yeah, we were on the sea for 3 weeks, or like
right.
So it's difficult to say, okay, how much passes between each island. You know, maybe you can figure it out while they're on the island, but between time is like up in the air.
Yeah. And there are times where they stay on an island and it feels like they've been there for quite a while by the time they leave, but we don't really see a lot of that time. So, and so, okay, that's Kobe. And then the other kid
is Helmeppo.
What? Why? What? So Helmeppo is the son of, what was his name?
Captain Morgan.
Right. Who had like a mechanical arm? Mechanical jaw?
Yes, he had like an X for the arm, and like his underbite was like all metal.
Right. Okay. And he was a real shitty piece of shit. And now he is like learning to fight with under the tutelage of Garp. And honestly, he doesn't deserve this second chance is where it comes down to for me. And I love the fact that he expects them to remember him, and neither of them does, because even though he was a piece of shit and a bully, they have run into so many bigger fish since him that he has just completely fallen to the background.
Yes,
and
he was like literally in episode 2 of 2 and 3, and that's it. Well, no, we had not a flashback, but update when he and Kobe met Garp for the first time. That was like also during like somewhere around Alabasta. We got like a short story of them.
Okay. I thought that I remembered seeing the two of them, but I didn't remember Garp at all being part of that whole thing.
No, that was like a short story where basically Garp comes and is supposed to get Captain Morgan, and Captain Morgan flees, and the boys fail to stop him, but Garp is like, okay, you're cool, you come under my wing, basically.
Gotcha.
How they ended up where they are.
Okay. So Helmeppo has this like blindfold?
I don't know. He tries to be an edgelord, and that's it. He wants to stand out. He wants to be cool. Yes.
So this isn't like, because I thought we were going to find out that like, you know, the sort of thing where, we're trying to get you to heighten your other senses and use your other senses. So we're going to blindfold you and make you do everything with the blindfold on. But it's just like a fashion statement, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
He's insecure and want to appear cool. So shades, I guess.
I mean, that's not a terrible place to start, I suppose.
No, like I'm not shading for the shades, but I'm shading for his character.
Oh yeah, 100%. Everybody is saying in the chat that they're sunglasses, which like they don't really, they look like the sunglasses that what's his face of the X-Men wears to keep his eyeball raised from killing everybody.
Cyclops.
That's the one, Cyclops. Or that dude from the Reading Rainbow on Star Trek.
Okay, that I don't know.
You guys know who I'm talking about, though. But yeah, this whole the fact that they don't remember, I do enjoy that. I thought it was gonna, because I remembered him once he says Helmeppa, the son of Captain Morgan. Immediately, I was like, "Oh, that's the butt chin." I knew I recognized the chin.
Yes, the chin is unforgettable.
But they don't remember him, and then eventually, when they're like, "Oh, you sucked," and he like says something else, and Zoro just says, "Well, he still sucks," and that cracked me up a little bit. It was just like, and he isn't like, he doesn't seem to understand the position that he has in their memories. Like, he's like, "Hey guys, remember me?" and is like all cheery about it. But then he's like, "I'm the man who crucified you and almost executed you." And he says it with this fucking big shit-eating smile on his face.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's all water under the bridge. Yo, this sort of thing drives me fucking crazy. Just for the record, everybody, the mere fact that time has passed since you did a shitty thing doesn't mean that shitty thing doesn't have any meaning anymore.
Yes.
Like, you don't get to behave as if the mere passage of time is in and of itself an apology, because that's not how that works. I don't care if something happened 15 years ago and you think somebody should let it go. If you've never actually said the words, "Hey, I'm sorry, that was a fucked up thing to do," you have never apologized, and they have no motivation to let go. So this whole thing, he's just acting like, well, it was probably so long ago that who even cares now? Or maybe he's banking on the fact that since they don't remember him, but he's the one who brings up what he did.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess that doesn't really work.
No, he's just a douche and an idiot.
Yes, very much so.
And to be honest, I feel like, however, he works perfectly as a foil to Kobe, actually.
Yeah.
Because Kobe is such a sweet cinema roll.
Yeah, he is.
So, yeah, it kind of works out at the end, I feel like. I
will say this. At the very least, he has improved his hair.
Okay, you like it?
Like, it's not
yes.
good, but holy shit, the hair that he had was really bad.
I just the first thing I thought was thinking about his new hair. I was like, I guess, but then I remembered his first hair, and I was like, oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Improved.
It's just that hair is like, there's been a lot of wild costumes and weird stuff in this show, but it's all feels so like far outside of reality that I can just be like, all right, well, I guess somebody was wearing swans on their feet. But this haircut is like a real haircut that could exist in the world, which somehow makes it so much worse. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like one step away from Will's haircut in the first Stranger Things. That bowl thing.
Yes, that was awful. Luckily, he was vanished away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we don't have. Yeah, but the other boy basically had like kind of the same haircut, so we still had to look at it.
How dare they?
Yes, the 80s. No, I really liked it. I mean, again, I'm gonna say I basically spotted Kobe like in the first scene where you just see him from behind and was like, oh my god, is it?
Mm-hmm.
But again, I by that time watched the earlier episode like many times, so I knew it. But still, this is like, I mean, One Piece is a long fucking thing, and
yeah, it is.
If like these are but the moments that paid off, you know, like because you only can do these kinds of thing if you have a long series. I feel like
Agree.
returning characters, them seeing how they change, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's something that I really enjoy about anything that's long running is when they decide to do this, because there are plenty of things that are long running and they don't ever really bring things back around, and I'm always just like, what a missed opportunity, There'll be a number of people like on Twitter watching the thing and be like, oh, remember so and so, and I'm like, yeah, and they're still technically alive according to the script, so they could have done something with that. But I also understand that, like, when you're dealing with real actors, especially, being like, hey, can we have you back for like a 10-minute scene in this one episode is probably not something a lot of actors are excited about doing. But then we get this, I really, really loved this, you guys. We get Garp being like, all right, men, repair this wall. And that's what he busted through the wall to get into the house. And they're like, why did you break it if you wanted us to just fix it? And he says, well, it's just cooler to come in that way, though, right? Like, I just thought it was badass. And one of the guys, speaks the volumes here. One of the guys says, all right, we'll fix it, but you've got to help us. And then he goes from this look of like rage and then all of a sudden thoughtfulness. And then he just says, okay. And we just cut to him like hammering a nail in. You guys, I just love this so much. This guy is so huge and imposing and everything. And yet he's still like, well, I just wanted to come in the house in a cool way, like the fucking Kool-Aid man. And yet, as much as this is such a stupid thing to do, it is such a Luffy thing, first of all. Mm-hmm. And second of all, the fact that his men feel free to be like, sir, this is bullshit. You are also going to fucking swing a hammer. Means that they have that kind of relationship with him, which we really haven't seen with any of the vice admirals out there at all. Mm. So this guy has a very different energy to all the others. And obviously the fact that he is not trying to just arrest Luffy. I don't know what he's telling the Marines he's doing out here. If he's like saying, oh yeah, I'm hot on his trail. Do the Marines know Luffy is his grandson? Like, are they aware of that? It feels like his whole crew wasn't aware of that.
No.
But they're not going to have the same info that the higher ups are going to have, I would assume. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just really curious what his angle is here, because if he were on the job, this whole scene would be going very differently. So he's very clearly not on the job. So I don't know what he's doing here. Like, what are you trying? Are you here to throw the scent off when other Marines inevitably arrive? Are you going to like cover for him?
We will have to wait and see.
Florian is giving me, you guys. Oh my god!
I thought, like I said, this is like where things kind of come together, but this doesn't mean like it produces more questions. So
sure,
but that's good storytelling, I think. So
yeah, I really enjoy this this whole bit here with him, hammering away, and Sanji saying, I really thought that he was like too high up on the food chain to participate in this kind of manual labor, but okay.
Yeah, that's this makes me laugh out loud all the time. Like every time I see it. But then we get another bomb drop.
Yeah.
Just casually,
He's like, I hear you met your old man. And Luffy's like, I did? And he's like, yeah, And we get this, like, he says something about how you met him in Logtown. And I guess he didn't tell you who he was. And I'll have to mention, as he's telling him this, he is digging a finger up his nose. I can't. It was very disappointing after him introducing himself and me being like Silver Zaddy a little bit. And then he's just digging into his nose. And I was like, ugh, you've ruined it. So that this is when we get all of these flashbacks to Logtown, to Buggy the Clown, everything with like, you know, being chased all around the place and Captain Smoker. And then we have the moment where Luffy is about to get executed. And I forgot about how he is like, I'm going to die. And he's like smiling about it. Like he just, I forgot how, I don't want to say unconcerned exactly because he would save his own life if he could. But it's more like I'm going to face what's coming to me with a smile. And it's not even a pretend smile. It seems pretty sincere that he's just like, well, you know, win some, lose some.
Yeah, that's kind of the moment where Smoker got low-key obsessed with him because you probably don't remember, but in that episode, Smoker says like, have you ever seen somebody smile knowing that they were going to die? Like to a Marine, and the Marine is like, no, sir. And Smoker is just like, because again, other flashback that we also saw in Lockdown, Smoker saw the execution of Gold Roger with his own eyes.
Right, yes.
And Gold Roger also smiled when he got executed.
Right. Okay, that's right. Because I remember that there were some parallels to the way that, and you know, of course, he's also up on the actual like execution platform and everything. But yeah, he's about to swing the sword down. All of a sudden, this like lightning bolt hits, and the whole tower goes down. And I had forgotten about like the drama of this moment. Luffy just picking up his hat. I'm still alive after all. And in the sub, he says, I got lucky. In the dub, he says, that's nice. Which I don't know why, but that really cracked me up a little bit.
Yeah. And it is kind of, I think, a little bit foreshadowing that Luffy is immune to lightning, which we will see later with
yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
But it's not specifically mentioned. So
yeah, that did not occur to me at all. And so this is when his grandfather, like in the flashback, we see the guy in the green cloak who's got like tattoos on his face, I think. Is that right? Yes. Yeah, okay, here he is. And his grandfather calls him something dragon. What is it?
Monkey D. Dragon.
Right, I forgot, of course, because they have that whole thing, the theme.
And he is Monkey D. Garp, the grandpa.
Right. And when he says that his dad is Monkey D. Dragon, we get this like real weird sequence where everybody acts shocked. The camera is panning over the faces of all of the other Marines whose mouths are like opening and closing in this really weird way. And then Galila itself getting like twisted and bent out of shape, I'm assuming because everybody inside is like throwing such a fit, is supposed to be what's happening there.
Yeah, it's an outrage.
Yeah. And even the other Straw Hats know who Monkey D. Dragon is. Which
I mean, they know who Dragon is. This is like I feel like an important detail because the world
so he's only called Dragon?
Yes, because otherwise everybody would know, oh, Garp is his father, you know.
Right,
so
okay.
He's known to the world as Dragon. But his full name, which is kind of a low-key secret, is Monkey D. Dragon.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why even the Marines are shocked, because even they didn't make this connection, because they didn't know the name.
Yeah, I think that it's Helmeppo who is just like, his son is Dragon and his grandson is a pirate. What is with this fucking family? And I was like, that is a very solid question, sir. Look, Helmeppo, you don't really have room to talk about, you know, families and shit, but you're not wrong.
So maybe really quick towards the end, did you like, because when I saw this first, as I said, I was a kid, so I didn't really get what was the difference between dragon and basically a pirate. Did you like understand what that was?
Yeah, so basically the pirates are like out for themselves and doing their own thing. And he is part of like a revolutionary force that is actively trying to take down the government, which you guys know all about how on board I am with that.
Yes.
And evidently he is like not unsuccessful, because they still haven't caught him, which right there is a pretty big deal. But it seems like they're afraid of him. So he must have affected some big I'll be very proud to hear what Luffy did over at in his lobby. I feel like he's gonna be like, hey, nice.
Yeah, I find it so funny. Luffy, I think, says something like, I didn't know I had a father, or something like this.
I didn't even think I had a dad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and we still don't know what his mom was like, do we? Have we met his mom in that flashback? Okay.
No, we only know so far about Garp, Dragon, and Ace.
Right.
Yes.
And Ace really does look a lot like Dragon. Like when we see Dragon's face finally, the resemblance between him and Ace is pretty pronounced. But Luffy is just so much younger that he still has like that round baby face. But yeah, so everybody else is just kind of like, dude, what the fuck? Like they're all very shocked. I have to mention, I haven't mentioned this the whole time. You know the two girls that are like Franky's backup?
Mozu and Kiwi.
Every time we have reactions where we pan across them, they're in like a different position. And that was very, very funny. It is such a stupid, like, it doesn't mean anything. There's nothing, but
just the fact. It's I love jokes that are like basically in the background, that are like really some of my favorites, where it's like, oh, okay, something is also happening there.
And you know what? Before we because we're running out of time here, but he asks Robin, about his father and the significance of that, and he says basically what I just said. And I wanted to mention that, like, we see Usopp looking in through the window, and Usopp had a conversation with the giants earlier on, where they invite him to go with them, and he sits there and doesn't really know what he wants to do, because he has like officially left the Straw Hats, but you could tell he kind of wishes he could take it back. And he doesn't have, the whole deal was, I'm leaving and I'm taking the ship with me. He doesn't have the ship anymore, so now what is he going to do? So
what is he going to do?
I have to assume he's just rejoining them. I know that he and maybe he'll go on some adventures and then come back to them, but I think he's coming back to them eventually. I just
you maybe for the end want to make a prediction what that might look like, or what it will look like. Might look like. I wanted to say the word might,
but you're combining two words. Listen, this is my native language, and I still fucking do that. Past couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of word smushing. I don't know. Like, what I want again is for a big dramatic reveal that he is Sniper King, and for them to be like, oh my God, and for him to realize, because they are so impressed, that he is a valued member of the team and not dragging them down, which is what he seems to think he is doing. But I don't really know how that would go, or, because he's just afraid to initiate any other conversation. So he's a coward. What are you going to do?
He is.
Bless him.
Yes, bless him. Oh, I'm so happy you're watching this and that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I really am. This show's very fun.
That I and everybody else can be a part of this.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining me on this, and I'm really excited that people are doing more of the live watches and the wannabes. It's really fun to have a co-host for these. I don't mind doing them by myself. Y'all know I can talk for an hour, no problem. It's nothing. But having somebody to bounce off of it's just kind of a relief sometimes, I feel like, oh good, I can share this burden.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, be a burden.
It's a horrible burden. My incredibly plush job of watching television in my home and then talking about it.
Yeah, I'm so sad for you.
It's very, very tough, this life. All right. Well, is there anything you wanted to add before we wrap up?
No, I mean, you know the usual. You can follow me on South Art, SAUF Art, on Instagram if you want to see what I draw. But I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm in university and there's a lot to do, so I have not been drawing anything like for, oh gosh, it's been almost a year. But it's just life is happening. Yeah,
Yep.
A lot of things are happening. So, but I want to get back into it. So yeah, come and follow me. I also draw like comics and stuff. But
Nice. Yeah. South Art, everybody. SAUF Art. And you did the Ted Lasso logo for me. Which thank you for that. Yes. So everybody go listen to Ted Lasso.
Yes, go listen to it. It's great.
All right, everybody.
Everything Natasha does. I am biggest fan, so
yeah, that's true. Listen to everything I do, always,
yes.
Forever.
Yes.
All right, everybody. I will see you soon with a new episode. Until then, toodaloo, motherfucker.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.